Long ago, in a kingdom nestled between a green mountain and a blue sea, lived a kind and gentle boy named Robert. One day, while playing by the river that flowed down from the green mountain, he noticed something strange. All the fish had died, and the water had turned a sickly black color. Concerned for the well-being of the animals and plants downstream, Robert decided to find out what was going on. As he walked up the riverbank, he met an old man who told him that a powerful witch named Shira had changed the river's color. The witch lived deep within the caves of the Black Mountain, and no one had been able to retrieve an antidote from her. Overwhelmed by the task, Robert almost gave up, but then he remembered his pet dragon, Pyro. Pyro was a huge dragon with shimmering emerald green scales that sparkled in the sun. Despite his intimidating appearance, Pyro was actually a friendly and cheerful dragon who loved to play with Robert. "I'm sure we can find the witch together," said Robert, feeling grateful for his dragon's help. And so the two friends set off on their journey to the Black Mountain. Meanwhile, Shira, the ugly witch, cackled with glee as she watched them approach. She had used all her power to turn the river black, hoping to drain the life force from the kingdom and make herself immortal. But little did she know that Robert and Pyro were on their way to stop her. As they ventured deeper into the caves, Robert and Pyro faced many obstacles. They dodged sharp rocks, slippery patches, and even some wild boars, but nothing could break their determination. Finally, they reached a vast cavern where Shira awaited them. Shira was an evil witch with a crooked nose, a wart on her chin, and a pair of beady eyes. She was stirring a large cauldron filled with a bubbling green liquid. As she turned around, she let out a shriek that echoed through the caverns. "You dare enter my lair, little She waved her magic wand, and a swarm of bats flew towards Robert and Pyro. Robert was terrified, but Pyro quickly intervened. He breathed a stream of fire that singed the bats' wings, sending them scattering back to Shira. "Don't worry, Robert," said Pyro reassuringly. "Leave this to me." With a fierce roar, he surged towards Shira, who responded by hurling a bolt of lightning at him. The cave shook with the force of Pyro's impact as he crashed into the ground. Robert rushed to his friend's side and helped him get back on his feet. "Are you all right, Pyro?" he asked frantically. "Yes, I'm fine," Pyro replied, coughing a bit. "But this witch is strong. We need to find her weakness if we want to defeat her." Robert nodded, knowing that Pyro was right. He looked around the cavern and noticed a small opening behind the cauldron. He crept closer and peeked inside. To his surprise, he saw Shira's wand lying on a shelf. It was intricately carved and seemed to pulse with magical energy. "That must be it," Robert whispered. He carefully picked up the wand and felt a surge of power course through him. Shira, noticing that Robert had taken her wand, became enraged. She stamped her foot, and the ground trembled. "You fool!" she screamed. "You have no idea what you're messing with!" She-Ra lunged at Robert, but before she could grab him, Pyro stepped in front of him. "Stay behind me, Robert," he said, with a determined nod. Robert hid behind his dragon as Pyro and She-Ra battled it out. She-Ra unleashed wave after wave of dark magic, each one more powerful than the last. Pyro, however, was equally determined to protect Robert and the kingdom. He dodged bolts of lightning, fireballs, and even a few nasty spells. Each time She-Ra struck him, Pyro roared in pain, but he never faltered in his defense of Robert. Robert watched in awe and admiration as his dragon friend fought bravely against the evil witch. He knew that if Pyro got hurt, She-Ra would use her magic to drain the life force from the kingdom, plunging it into darkness forever. So he had to do something. He took a deep breath and raised She-Ra's wand. In that moment, Robert realized that being a hero wasn't about physical strength or magical powers. It was about courage, kindness, and determination. With newfound resolve, he shouted, "Stop, She-Ra!" Startled by this sudden interruption, She-Ra hesitated for just a moment, and that was all Robert needed. He pointed the wand at the cauldron and shouted, "Reverse!" The cauldron bubbled and churned as the potion inside began to change color. Slowly but surely, the green liquid turned white and then a vibrant blue. She-Ra, realizing that her defeat was imminent, let out a final scream of rage and threw her hands up in the air. "Curse you, Robert! You may have won this battle, but I will be back." With that, she vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving behind only the faint echo of her cackle. Robert and Pyro exchanged a relieved glance. They had saved the kingdom from She-Ra's evil plot, and now they could finally return home. Together, they walked out of the caves hand in hand, their silhouettes framed by the setting sun. As they approached the village, they could hear the joyous cheers of the townspeople. They had heard that the river had turned blue again, and they were celebrating the return of their beloved hero. Robert blushed at the attention, but Pyro simply smiled and waved to the crowd. When they arrived at the riverbank, Robert knelt down and scooped up some of the water in his hands. It was clear and sparkling in the sunlight, and he could see tiny fish darting through it. He brought the water to his face and drank deeply. It tasted like victory! From that day on, Robert and Pyro were celebrated as heroes throughout the kingdom. People came from far and wide to visit them, and their names were sung in songs and told in stories. But despite all the fame and adulation, Robert remained humble. He knew that he had done nothing more than what was right, and he encouraged others to do the same. As for Pyro, he continued to be the kind and gentle dragon that everyone loved. He spent his days playing with the children and his nights curled up next to Robert's bed, dreaming of new adventures. And though She-Ra, the ugly witch, never returned, the people of the kingdom never forgot her evil plot. They knew that as long as they had Robert and Pyro to protect them, they would be safe. Together, they had overcome great evil and brought happiness back to their land. And that was a story worth telling.